These are the notes for stem and leaf plots. A stem and leaf plot uses the digits of data values to organize a data set. Stem and leaf plots have data placed into order from least to greatest, very similar to what we did with the median. The stem and leaf plot shows how data is distributed. Each data is broken into a stem, which is a digit or digits on the left of the vertical line, and a leaf, digit or digits on the right of the vertical line. Here is an example of a stem and leaf plot. So you will always see, or you'll always have to make a key for your stem and leaf plot. And the key is just telling you how to read the data. So in this case, we see that if you have a 4 on the left of a vertical line and a 1 on the right of the vertical line, that is read as 41. So if we look at our actual stem and leaf plot then, I have a 0 on the left and a 4 on the right. That would be read as the number 4. Usually when we write the number 4, we don't have the 0 there, but that 0 is there because you have to have something in the stem portion. The next number on the stem and leaf plot would be 0, 6, or I will just write it as a 6. The next number would be a 7, 8, and a 9. So that takes care of the first row of data points. In the second row, notice you have a 1 on the left, or 1 in your stem, followed by a 0 on the right. So that would tell me that that number is a 10. Followed by a 13, followed by a 15, another 15, etc. That is how you read these stem and leaf plots. Your key can change, as you will see, because sometimes you will have numbers that are bigger than just 2-digit numbers, or sometimes you will have decimal points, and your key will tell you how to read them as well. In letter A here, we're going to practice making a stem and leaf plot. So I'm looking at all of my scores, and it's best if you put this in order from least to greatest, and that'll help you kind of organize your stem and leaf plot right away. So this takes a minute to do, but it's an important part. So the smallest number I think I see is a 54. And then another 54, followed by a 64, a 65, 75, 78, 82, 84, 92. So there's my data. So I see the smallest that I'm going in the tens place is in the 50s, and the biggest I'm going is the 90s. So for my stems, I'm going to draw a line here, vertical line. I know I need a 5 up to a 9. If your numbers are repeated, you do want to show that in your stem and leaf plot. So for example, my first two numbers are 54, so I'm putting a 4 here and a 4 there to show the 54 twice. For 64, I'm putting a 4, 65. 75, 78, 82, 84, and 92. A quick check that I would always do is I would count the numbers to make sure you have the same numbers that you should have. So up top, it looks like I have 9 numbers. And then in my stem and leaf plot, again, I see 9 numbers, or 9 leaves. And then you always want to make a key again for the reader. So our key is just like the example, pretty basic. Pick any number on there. We're just going to do the first number. 5, line 4 means 54. Okay, you can see how that's different in example B here because we have decimals now. So we're going to have to tell the reader how to read a decimal number. So again, I would start by putting them in order from least to greatest. Next number, And now that they're in order from least to greatest, I'm looking at my furthest left digit, which is in my ones place. And I see it starts with a 1, and then I go all the way up to a 5, to 5.8. So I'm going from 1 to 5. Okay, something I want you to notice is even though I don't have any numbers in the 4s, I still drew a 4 for my stem. You don't want to skip numbers with your stems. So even if you don't have any leaves there, you still want to show that 4. Okay? And then so for 1.1, I'm just going to put a 1 over here. And again, I'm going to tell my reader later on that that doesn't mean 11, but that means 1.1. 1.2. Again, I'm skipping the 4. I'm still having the 4 there, but I'm not writing anything because I don't have anything. And then I have a 4 and an 8 for the 5s. Okay, if I had a 4.0, for example, I would just put a 0 in the leaf part. Now, very important is my key. And I'm going to say if you see a 1/1, that equals 1.1. And now the reader knows how to read that. Okay, the last example here is C. Notice we have numbers with more than 2 digits in them, so we have 3-digit numbers here, and some 2s actually. So again, I'm just going to start by rewriting them, least to greatest. It looks like I missed the 102 there. And I think I got all of them. I'm going to count up top just to make sure. I counted 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I know I got all of them. Now notice here for my 3-digit numbers, it's not as easy as just putting a stem and a leaf. You always want to have 1 leaf digit. Your stem can be more than 1 digit. So what do I mean by that? When I draw my line here, I'm going to start with a 9. And then the next number is 100. So I'm putting a 10 here. And that'll cover from numbers 100 to 109. For 111, I would put an 11 here. And then for the 120s, I'd put a 12, etc. And again, my key will tell the reader how to read that. So I have 2 95s. For 100, I would put a 0. And again, you can always count the numbers to make sure you have the right amount. To tell the reader how to read this, I'm going to choose not the first row because that seems pretty basic here, but I'm going to do just a random number here. So 11-5 equals 115. And that just ensures, the reader knows what they're looking at here. Okay, so here's a stem and leaf plot. It says Kyle constructed the following stem and leaf plot to represent the ages of the people who attended the first football game of the season. Answer the questions using the information shown on Kyle's plot. So there's our stem and leaf, and there's our key. So question number 1. It says, what is the range of the ages of the people who attended? So if you recall, range is the biggest number minus the smallest number. So the biggest number on there would be the number at the bottom right. So that would be a 48. Minus our smallest number, which would be the first number on there, which is a 4. So the range of people who attended is 44. Number 2 says, what is the range of the ages in the group that had the most people attend? So which group had the most people attend? In other words, which group had the most leaves or leaves? If you look at it, it looks like that second row, people from the ages of 10 to 19 had the most people attend. And we want to know what is the range of that group. So in that group, the biggest is 18 and the smallest is a 10. So the range of that group would be 8 years. What is the age of the youngest person who attended? The youngest person would be 4 years old. And the oldest person would be 48 years old. What is the median age for the people who attended? So for median, not hard, but you just have to be careful, especially with the stem and leaf plots. So you could do one of two ways. You could list all of these numbers in a straight line and then find the middle number. Or you could just kind of keep a check them off as they go to find the middle number. So I like checking them off as they go along, and here's what I mean by that. So I like to get rid of the smaller number and get rid of the bigger number and just work my way in. So I'm going to get rid of another number and another number. And you see the fashion in which I'm doing that. You just keep eliminating the smallest and biggest until you get to the middle. So I'm going to get rid of 2 of them here, 2 of them here. Smallest, biggest. And we're down to 2 numbers. So the 2 numbers we're down to is an 18 and a 22. So because we have an even set of data, we have to find the mean of those 2 middle numbers. So we just add them up and divide by 2. We add them up, which is 40, and divide by 2, and we get 20 as our median number. What is the mean of all that data? Remember, the mean is just the average. So you grab your calculator, I'd maybe do this twice, to make sure you're correct here. When I added them, I got 558. And then we're dividing that by how many we have. How many do we have? I counted 24. So divide by 24. And I got 23.25. And again, you want to include all the decimals for that. And lastly, it says, what is the mode of the different ages on the plot? So if we go to the plot, we want the thing that appears, the number that appears the most often. So it looks like these 3. I don't see any other leaves with 3. And don't forget your 2 in front. So it looks like 27 would be the mode. I don't see any other 3s. So the mode is 27.